Hello there, it's Professor Stig, working on part 18 of our Audrey II Character Project. This video, part 18, is going to look into the mouth control so you can do something like this. So let's go. Front view. We're going to go to a different curve maker. Curve Tools, EP Curve Tool. That'll be the Edit Point Curve Tool. This one you don't have to close any curves or anything when you snap and make the complete counterclockwise creation here. So this would be the extent of our slider. Now if we hit D and move that over, let's go on the perspective view. And you hold down C, it should snap to the curve. Hold on. C. You should do it. C. Yeah, there we go. It seems a bit large, so I'm going to make it proportionate more to the character and the design. Make this one really thin. This is just the slider framework. The slider is going to go inside of it. Might be a little tall, so let's bring that down to here, something like that. Okay, so now modify freeze transformations. Okay. Snap it to the middle. Well, let's put it off to the side of the head. I think that will be not too far away, but just far enough. Okay, modify freeze transformations. Or I could have gone, I believe G. G would have done it because it's repeating that function. Okay, saving that. Front view again is going to allow us to make a handle, something we need to grab. Thought it'd be fun to continue with this type of curve tool, and actually, now understand it is in one linear, just like you would expect on your CV curve tool, which is the top one, right? Control vertex tool. Let's actually do something that's like, I'm going to actually write out letters. Now you can be very precise about it and click to the grid and make a letters like this. That's fine. I'm freestyling that one, not snapping it. But when I complete it here, I don't have to ever, when I go to CVs just to test it, I don't have to close the curve or anything. So it's actually much faster. What if I center pivot just so I can make this smaller? Now you can hit M and make an M, that's fine. I'm going to hit C, D, then C. Have it. No, I don't want to move just the. I'm so used to doing that I just need to move the entire thing and have it snap to somewhere over here. So focus brings me in. Let's put this at. Well, his mouth is a little bit open, so let's analyze what we're going to do here. His mouth's a little bit open, so we're going to need a slider that goes down to close it, but then we'll want extreme open. So let's put it in the middle. Put it in the middle here. And make it much smaller. Maybe wider or something like that. Now scaling, that's just bad graphic design approach, but you probably go in and you can't move the edit points that I know of, but you can now. That's pretty helpful. Thought I'd give it a try. You know, things change. You gotta flow with it. So I'm gonna make a chunky M control. Alright, let's give it a color. Oh, naming, always good. We'll call it mouth handle. Okay, modify freeze transformations. And this will be the mouth slider. Oh, we'll call it the mouth Nah. Mouth. Handle. I haven't thought of a name for this one. Mouth handle. See, on a soundboard or something, you'd call it a slider. That's the slider, but this is the handle. Does that work? This is the whole slider, this whole slider structure, because this will be childed to that. Like this. So I'm going to just put a group above it. Copy. Group. And then we'll center that pivot. Pivot. We'll group this one, or yeah, copy the name and group that. Slider group. And then modify center pivot. Just move that so they're more consistent. They don't have to be precisely on each other. It's not like the bones. It's not as imperative. So let's go get that color. Object display. Drawing overrides. You know, we've done this before. I'm just, you know, some people are new to this video, so let's make it nice. I thought the purple was on that end. I guess it really is over here. That one? Is that the purple? Maybe that one. Oh boy, is that tricky. Yeah, that matches what we have already. And this one can be, it's going to be green or something. That looks, if you see the green, you select it. The purple is getting, I'll make that yellow so it stands out more. Blue, yellow. There we go. All that work. Let's not, I'm going to save it as a new version. File save as, because it's what I call a milestone. So, 20B. Okay, so here we're going to lock down its, we haven't explored any of this because it's time now. So we're going to go to limits. Let's see if we can find limits under the handle. Limit information is under the mouth handle. Right, if you go to the mouth handle, if it was in the control channel box, that's what it would be called. Just checking. Okay, rotate, basically going to turn all those to 0 and lock it here. See how I'm throwing out the value in the middle? I'm putting those out to the side and then locking them. Checking means that that integer here or float value is going to be set as an extreme. Mostly what we're concerned about is the translate. So we don't want it to move in Z. So make that 0, make this 0. We don't want it to go anywhere. So now you'll see in perspective view, it really is truly locked. I can't move it. See, I grab the handle, doesn't move it. And you might want to go through and do that for the rest of your character and lock down what channels or axes you are not wanting your animator to key upon. We do want it to move in the Y, but I'm not sure how much yet. And in the X, no. So it's not going to move side to side. It's only going to move up and down. Let's figure out where the limits are. If that one went thunk to the end here, let's give it a nice 0.61. So let's make that our highest value. And our lowest value is going to be, let's make it seem very solid, -0.59. So now when you slide it up and down, it clunks and stops at either extremes. That feels like a nice control. So, attribute editor, 0. Now, an additional thought on this. If you only want to move in the Y, you can select all of these. I'm just control clicking and dragging. I'm going to go lock and hide when I find it, right there. And now your animator only sees this slider. Yeah, I can move side to side or whatever like you'd expect on a channel. Or I can grab it like this and move it. Then when you key it to make a keyframe by hitting S, it's only going to keyframe what channels are available. Okay. This one, however, is going to be the actual slider, the curve slider is going to just be, everything's going to be locked up here. I'll lock and hide. So now you select on it. There's nothing but visibility. You can only toggle the visibility. See? And that you can code to your character as you switch different things on and off for various operations so that it doesn't clutter up your interface. But I don't think that's going to be necessary for this. I don't think this is ever going to have to go on and off either, so we can just hide that. Well, let's lock and hide it. So it'll always be visible. Let's do that for both, which I'm going to lock and hide that one too. Lock and hide. Okay, now it's only for the translate Y. Let's hook this slider group to the neck. So when it moves around, or we could just child it to the IK handle. Yeah, we can do that. We can go IK handle, mouth handle slider group, constrain. Just gonna have it move. Move, move, move. So reset, add. So now I'll test it. Good. So the slider part is moving, but the M needs to follow. So that one needs to be attached as well. So let's do slider curve to handle group, control click and constrain as a parent constraint. So let's see. I'm going to move the head around. That moves accordingly. Can't select this. Good. But you can select this. Now let's see. When it's in its respective position, it remains. So that's very much how I think we want it at this stage. Okay, very good. Now let's do the code part. Save again. Expression editor. You close this down, so I have to keep staring at that outliner. It's got a lot there. We're going to go to the animation editors and expression editor. This one is going to be under the object name. That's where we are. Translating Y. So there's our string. We're going to copy it. Here's where we go to the joints in the head. Let's remove the mesh for now. Hide the mesh for now. And go to we want these to rotate. These mouth jaw joints we built a long time ago, it seems, right? So this is called the upper jaw joint. Rotate X. Drag that down, and much like we did for the bones, for the leaves, we're going to have the upper jaw joint equate to the math handle translating. Now let's just times it by 1 for now and see if we like those values. Terminate with a semicolon. Give it a name. Mouth expression. Oh, you have to spell it right though. with an M. Mouth expression. We'll put an S in there. Create. See what happens. Now, down, up. It's moving just slightly because the values are so small. This is a good start. It is indeed moving on the x-axis, and you can tell. We have to go here, make sure this is on. Hold on. There it is, local rotational axes. 8. Select it. 8. There we are. Now we see that is the x-axis that we're going through. So this all makes sense. I'm hitting F8 to toggle that on and off between components and objects. Right. 0. So how do we amplify that? Hit it back to 0. Go into our code. We start doing a little, go to expression name, mouth expression. Now times 1. Let's amp it up. Times 10 and go edit. So we move this guy up and down. I think let's really go. Let's give it a real extreme value. Good. Now, when we bind it, and we'll see where the mouth closes, well, we can eyeball that as well. You can set limits to it. New limits for this rotation. Now, remember, we set limits on this movement here, but we can also set limits on where this joint stops. So let's just until this thing feels like it's running the mouth at a proportionate rate and scale and actuation, I guess. That seems good. Let's go to the goal monster mesh and see if I was to slide this down, it's going up. Well, that's disappointing, but not for long. You just make this a minus 40, so it reverses all the operations, and then when you go up, it goes up, and then down, it goes down. Not too bad, huh? Now, this gets zeroed out. Let's see how far, since this is, hit the eyeball, this is the distance of the lip, the thickness of the lip. It seems like if it came to about here, that would be a good solid closed mouth. So let's limit our bone right there. Go to A. Control A for your channel box. I'm sorry, your attribute editor. Limit information. Rotates. Up. Unfurl, rotate. You can see that channel is coded and already has a value. So at 20.51 in my case. Now, and then this one, let's see how high we want this to go when we move this. So see how it stops there? It not only stops here, but stops its rotation on the joint. So this goes back to 0. I guess we'll do it this way, 0. We'll figure out somewhere in there. I don't know, that looks pretty good. That distance, when the head has a little bit of hyper, the jaw has a little bit of hyper action there, hyper rotation. That's fun for animation to do that, especially when it's making a quick snapping motion. You really exaggerate that before he snaps. So that is the top joint. Let's do the bottom joint and make them work together. Okay, so when you slide this, they both open and close in unison. Remove that mesh. Let's go to here. We know in our expression editor, we can just copy this because we're so professional or practicing professional methods. We already know what the name is, but let's check it. Of that joint, lower jaw joint, LWR for lower. So let's just change that. Lower, W is rotate X, handle. Let's see, edit. Let's do it and see. They're moving nicely, but wouldn't you think the bottom joint has to move in opposition? Well, let's remove the negative here and edit and see how nicely this is going to work. Okay, they're crossing. Now, let's just go to the geometry and eyeball this. I mean, this is the artistic part of the rigging process. So if this was at 0 and we go down, I think that's where we want that bottom one to end. We want it to be real crispy end. And a little bit together, because when the lips look like they're pushing together, that looks really, really nice. So I think we'll do it, put them right there. So let's take the bottom, the lower jaw joint, Control A to get into the attribute editor, minus. That's going to be its lowest value. Okay. Max. Let's find out. While we're here, I'm just going to throw zeros to either end and lock them down. So let's see, we go all the way up. That thing hyperextends, and I guess that's a good ending point until I see otherwise. So minus 360, there you go. I'm sorry, 24. Let's throw that value over here. 24. So that's where, make sure I was on the right thing. 24 was the bone, not the controller. I'm just checking. So now the final test. I'm not thinking that bottom joint, I really like it to stop there, which is negative 14.46. That value we're going to throw over there. Okay. Got to keep checking myself as well. I feel like the top joint is exceeding its position there. Let's go to the top joint. Oh, we don't have a value set there. 1472. Let's throw that value over there, and let's figure out where its extreme is for the top joint. Negative 2439. Let's shoot that over. And now I'm going to throw zeros out for everything else and lock those down. Just so there's no confusion. It's just best practice. It always is best practice. Now look how solid. The slider is solid, and the snapping of the joints is solid. So that feels like a real functional control. And then, of course, zero it out, always to start at default. That will be your default pose. So now I'm going to save mine. File save scene as. Save my scene as 20C. There we go. That is my complete skeleton rig and setup for this level. Putting the joints down here would be cool. I am going to forego that for clarity's sake, but you understand all of the things needed to do this, and you should be successful therefore. So this is Stig, Professor Stig, signing off until the next video where we start painting weights and binding the skin. Alright, until then, so long.